Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday, and that means it's Pop and Bravo. We're going to talk about pop culture. We're going to talk about Bravo. And today I've got my friend. It's Landon Bryant from LandonTalks. Hey, Landon.
Hey y'all, I'm so glad to be here.
You guys, Landon has got himself a profesh situation now.
Upgraded.
I know. Last time you were like on a 25-year-old, iPhone, I was like,
Yes.
Landon.
I
Mm-mm.
finally, when we are starting a podcast, it's coming out soon. When we
Okay.
got to that point, the producer was like, "No, you have to get a new computer. You have to get a new all the stuff." So he sent me links, and I just bought those things, and I felt good about it.
Yeah, yeah. Now tell me about this podcast. You're gonna be my competition? What's happening?
No, we're only going to be podcast friends. No
Okay,
competition.
okay, okay,
No, it's
good.
going to just be Landon Talks with Kate. My wife will be on it with me. We're going to talk about all the things that we can come up with. I just want to learn something in every episode. So it'll be more about like bringing experts on and hearing what they have to say, experts at podcasts, experts at pop culture like you, and then just going with the conversation and kind of extending my conversations that we have on Instagram to longer audio format.
I love that. I have a friend, Kim, and she has a podcast, 90 Day Fiance Cray Cray. And she's always saying, like, this is the episode where we learn things. So they want to learn things about like different parts of the country all the time.
Yes.
They're very interested in that. Now, they refuse to do video. So nobody I know what they look like, but the listeners don't know what they look like. So they won't do it if there's video.
Well, we're gonna do video for YouTube and just have it all set up and just try to have a good time. I want to have like an old school variety show almost in a way.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, well, I'm available.
Yes,
So,
for sure. Oh no, you're
yeah.
already on the list. You're like I think
Okay.
you're like right at the top of the list even.
That's exciting. You gotta get Kate on, Kate Casey.
Yes, for sure. For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
she's an expert on many things.
And I'm going to LA area in December for stand-up shows in Irvine and Ontario, and I'm planning on pulling her in those days, trying to get
She
her
will
in
love it.
person. I know, I can't
She
wait.
will love it. And, you saw the hotel I sent you.
Yes, I did, and it's perfect. I sent them a message. They already messaged back, so we're
They're great.
in the works.
Yeah, they're a small little place. That's where I've stayed twice in LA, and
It
they're
looks
just a
great.
it's a small place, it's walkable, and there's no room service. Maybe there is. I take that back. There is room service, but they just have one little restaurant, one little bar, but they have a pool. It's
Nice.
nice. Nice.
I've never been out there, so this will be my first time. It'll be so exciting.
Who's going with you?
Kate's going. I think Terry, my business manager, might come as well, but I know for
Okay.
sure me and Kate are going. We're gonna try to have as good of a time as we can while we're there and get those couple of shows done and networking a little bit.
Okay, great. You guys, if you are an LA person, you've got tips and tricks for Landon,
Yes.
reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to him on DM at Landon Talks. And you're pretty good about checking your DM, I think.
I do. It does filter them into like these weird folders, and sometimes
I
like it's like
know.
a hidden request situation, but I really try to check those. It's kind of difficult to keep up with it, but I try my best. If I see it, I definitely like try to respond.
I don't know why they do that. They're like
I don't
primary,
either.
general, hidden, and then under hidden, there's like categories. And you're like, this is just
Yes.
like somebody like put like a laughing face at my comment. So why is that hidden?
Yes, and now there's like story replies under hidden. I don't know. It's a whole thing.
I agree. Yeah. Instagram, help us out. You guys, if you're watching on YouTube, I am once again in a different location. Landon, the joke is it's like, where's Waldo? It's Rosemary Payne. Because I've been traveling so much, I've been like at my sister's house, at my sister's other house, in my sister's husband's office. Yesterday, I was in the same room, but facing a different wall. I've
Nice.
just been all over. And
Mm.
let's see. The next thing
Just
I'll do
flexible.
you know what? Next thing I do, I'm going to record in this exact same spot so y'all can get used to this for maybe 3 weeks or a month, depending on how long it takes for them to finish the bathroom remodel that sounded like a good idea at the time. And it's just,
You'll be glad
woo.
when it's done. You'll be glad when it's over.
I know we're going to have heated floors in that bathroom.
Ooh, I love that.
I know I don't care about that, but that was my husband's kind of
It's
one
nice.
thing. It was his one thing. And I was like, let's just give him the
It
one
really
thing.
is.
Yeah.
You're gonna like it. And then you'll be like, I can't believe I lived without this.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't care that much, but he really is into it. So for
See,
me, I don't care.
I love to take to the bath as I like take to the bed or take to the bath, and
Mm,
I love a luxurious bath situation. So I'm all about a heated towel, a heated floor, even though
ooh,
we're in Mississippi and it's so hot all the time, but it is nice
You could
It's
do that
nice
for
in
like
there.
a month and a half.
We got
Yeah.
like a month and a half of heated floors.
But Landon, so you're a bath person. See, I'm not. We are taking the tub out of our bathroom.
No way.
Yes, we hate it. We've never used it. It's been there for 12 years. It's one of those huge tubs, soaking tubs, and we're just like, I've hated it since I moved in, and
Okay,
so 12 years later, we're taking it out.
fascinating. I am a get clean in the shower and then lay in the bathtub. I even will like lose all sense of time and I'll like get under the water where just like my nose and mouth is coming out. Just
And
like
your long hair
exist.
is flowing
Yes.
in the tub.
Just existing in the tub. And then I'll realize that like 2 hours went by. So it's a problem, but I love a bath. It's the best way.
I know lots of people do. I'm just not a
Mhm.
bath person. None of us in this family are bath people.
It's either or.
Um, okay, so let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. So initially, what we plan to talk about, which we are going to talk about, is Anatomy of Lies. You guys, this
Wild.
is the documentary on Peacock. Everybody's seen it and watched it by now and listened to 12 podcasts about it, but that's okay because I can still talk about it. I just watched it. I watched it last night with my daughter. She's a big Grey's Anatomy fan.
Mhm.
But she was like, I can't believe you're making me watch this. This is a horrible person. We were so focused on Jen, the wife, that we really couldn't focus on anything else. Like we
Yes.
really could not focus. And when Jen first came on and was saying, I met Joe in treatment, and my daughter's like, hold on, there's no way this is a HIPAA violation. You couldn't be like with this person in treatment and then talk about them. And I was like, I already knew the story. So I was like, just wait.
Just wait.
You'll see why she's allowed to
Just
talk
wait.
about it.
It's
Yeah.
wild. The whole thing was wild. It's like a nightmare scenario unfolding, and it just kept getting worse and worse. She married her. She fully married that lady.
I know. And you see all of the manipulation that she's doing by finding out all her trauma and then doing the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Doing the same thing. Just like a whole thing. So we can go ahead and she lied her way onto Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy was her goal. She was like a writer and she was so excited about it. And she said that she had chondrosarcoma, a rare cancer. And that really is what got her on the show in the first place, is that first lie. So she, from the very beginning, just started out, but then she didn't stop with that lie. She kept right on going. And she like took over anything having to do with cancer as well. Like she took over all the plot lines that were that. It was really something to watch, really something.
It was crazy because she's like, all right, I'm going to be a writer. So she did get
Mhm.
on the Vampire Diaries, which to me it
Yes.
was like, I mean, I didn't watch it, but I know it was a big show.
It did. That was another thing that I kept thinking the whole time. I was like, you already are doing writing. Like you're already writing successfully. You didn't need to do all this. But I don't know. Maybe I don't understand writing world as much as I should. But that's it. I had that same question. I was like, it seems like you already are a successful writer. But okay.
But I guess her goal was,
Mm,
like me, I have a podcast, I do okay, but I have so many goals in my mind of like
same.
people I want to interview. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to
Yes.
rest until I can get Karen Kilgara from My Favorite Murder on this podcast.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I'm obsessed with it. So I
Okay.
feel like she had a goal. My goal is I'm a writer, but it won't be good enough until I'm on Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy. And she had memorized all those storylines and she could like recite dialogue. It was
I followed her right
crazy.
now, so I'm gonna start my campaign to get her on Mary Payne's podcast right now. Let's see if we
Karen
can.
Kilgariff.
Yes.
Okay. My Favorite Murder, I think, is their Instagram. And she's got an Instagram too,
Mhm.
Karen Kilgariff. I'm obsessed with her. I feel like we're about the same age and that for sure we would be friends. And I know several people that know her. We have people in common.
You're
But
dancing around.
I've not been able to make it work, Landon. It's been
It will. It'll come.
years. It's been
It'll
years.
come. It'll be at the right time.
Okay, thank you, Landon. I appreciate your positivity. So all right, so she had this goal, I'm a writer, but my ultimate goal would be to write for Grey's Anatomy. She knew every storyline, every piece of dialogue, every character arc, and she did it. But they got her on because she said, I'm a writer, but I have cancer. So Shonda Rhimes, being the wonderful person that she is, was like, wow, well, this would be great to have this perspective. And this woman's already an established writer. That would be great.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
I would love to hear from Shonda Rhimes on this, but I know she's a very busy lady. But I would love to hear what she has to say about all this because that's wild. She really got bamboozled for
I'd
sure.
love to hear from her brother,
Yes. Oh, Lord. My goodness
who not
gracious.
only did she make these horrible accusations again, at one point she killed him off completely.
She did. You're so right. It's just wild. Like it's such a wild situation. It just kept going all by her own will. She just continued to make this situation more intense and more intense.
Did you feel like it was the story that it really was for her about attention? If somebody else is getting attention, let me say something to make I'm better. I need more attention. Like my story's bigger. I mean, we all have the one uppers. We all have friends that are the one uppers. No matter what you say, they're going to try to like one up you, even if it's like a bad thing.
I agree, and I
Yeah.
think it speaks to, like, writers' rooms and how intense they are. I've been in a
Hmm.
couple of them recently, and it is so intense. It was, like, really something I was not prepared for, and now I know a little bit more about it, but writers are constantly trying to be the one with the story or the one with the good lines, all the stuff, and it really speaks to how competitive that is because she found her
Hmm.
niche, whatever it is, and then went straight for it and never backed down, and I think it all has to do with getting the attention in the room, and then she even finagled it to where she got to write all the cancer storylines. And then she,
Hmm.
they would give her all those storylines. Then she wouldn't have to be in the room. She would write them by herself. She just really took it and went. And I think that power that came from being somebody notable in a writer's room really got her. She really was about it.
I think too, and I've listened to some other podcasts of like Casey and Danielle from Bitch Sesh. They have a podcast and they're both writers. Danielle has been in millions of writer rooms and they're both married to writers.
Oh
And
wow.
they are yes, besides themselves. They're so mad. They're like, this woman, they were like, what was sort of explained on the show, but maybe not enough, is that if you write an episode of Grey's Anatomy and 10 years from now it airs on TBS and syndication, you're going to get $300 for that.
Yeah.
Not like 2 cents. Like if you were on Friends in one episode, you might get a check every couple of years for like 10 cents or whatever. These are like, you
Big
are the
paycheck.
executive producer and head writer for that episode. For each episode you're listed on and it's rerun on TBS or whatever, you're getting paid. But she wasn't writing a lot of them. She was giving them the idea. Here's how I see the storyline, but I don't feel good. And
Yes.
then going home and the other lesser writers were writing the episodes, but she will be the one getting those residuals.
It's so true. It's like really wild. She really positioned herself to be able to do that. It was really something. And she even stole that one writer's story, like her real life
Her
story.
life
She
story.
stole her life story and wrote it as a whole, a really good episode, a really good episode. But she really did take that girl's life story.
And then was in the scene herself as an actor, which is hilarious. She was just pushing a gurney. She was like, "They wanted me in it as an actor." I was like, "Were you acting? Or you just had a hairnet on and we're walking down the hall?" But all
And it
right, yeah,
killed me because when I've seen that scene so many times, like in small videos and on the episode itself, and it's I swear I, like, noted when I saw that for the first time, this strange lady in the front. I was like, "This lady," I didn't know what I was thinking about her, but I was like, "Huh," and it, like, was something strange. It was like
because
a
she had so much makeup.
yes,
You
and
know what I
was just,
mean? And
like,
you're like,
so
you
intense
wouldn't,
in the front of the shot. It was really something. In a
yeah.
very intense moment. It was in a moment where they were wheeling her down the hallway, really intense episode, really intense moment, and then you just see this lady right here, and it was something off about it to me, and then there was
It
something off. I
was.
was right. My spidey senses were right.
It's yeah. I mean, are you a big Grey's Anatomy fan? Like my daughter's seen all of it. I think.
I love Grey's Anatomy. I really used to watch it a lot. I used to work in hospitals. I was I have an illustrious academic career, and part of it involved going to nursing school and then not finishing nursing school. So
Okay.
after I did not finish nursing school, I came home to Laurel and worked as a tech in the emergency room and in the ICU and on the cardiac floor. And so I got to know hospitals really well, rural hospitals really well, and I had a really good time. But I watched Grey's Anatomy alongside working in the hospital, so it was really very visceral for me, like, it was like I've experienced this, what they're doing right now. This is a dramatized version of my daily life, so it was really fun to watch. It really was for a long time. It got harder to watch as the show went on, like, it got now it's like I haven't watched recently the past couple of seasons, but I really
Mm.
loved it. Really loved it for a while.
Landon, did you do people's IVs?
I did not do IVs. I would draw blood, but not IVs are nurses only type of a
Okay.
thing.
But you could do
So
the thing where the blood comes out just
yeah,
to
I could
get the
draw
vial.
blood. I,
Yep.
read cardiac monitors for a while, so I would be like, "You're having a heart attack,
Oh, wow.
go to room 3, they're having a heart attack." At one point, I was on the code team, so if they called code blue, I would go run up there and do the CPR, whatever I could get into within my scope. I had a really good time. I have some really crazy stories that I wish I could share, but I feel like they're HIPAA violations, but
Right. Right. Well, no, I mean, but maybe not if you don't say their it's
I
been a
know,
few
and I don't work
years.
there
Yeah,
anymore, so
yeah. What are they gonna do? As long as you don't say anybody's name. But,
right.
Landon, I didn't know that about you. That's crazy because I'm so squeamish about anything that that would be in the top 5 least amount of jobs along with like sewage worker. Like, I mean, I would
It was
not
gross.
ever want to work in a hospital.
There was a lot of really gross things that, like, took a lot, and now I think back on that time, and I'm like, "I have no idea how I did that," but it's ADHD. Like, my whole life is an emergency. Every moment is like, getting dressed for this was just as much of an emergency as wheeling somebody down the hallway doing CPR, you know? So, it really suited me. It was, like, exciting every day, something new, something exciting every day, so I really thrived off of it for a little while, but it got to the point where it was too much, and kind of in hospitals, you either have to be licensed in something or you
Mhm.
can't really move up. So when I
Right.
got married, I was like, okay, I gotta go to school. I gotta do something. And so made my way out of the hospital and into the classroom. And that worked for me for a while. And now I do whatever this is that you call this job.
This is called, content creation. It's called
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yes,
Entertainment. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Now I just talk too much.
But I'd already, I was talking to Kimberly, my co-host for 90 Day yesterday, and we were talking about there was a scene where this mom was talking to this foreigner that had gone over to this other country. He's the American, but he's a
Mhm.
terrible person. But he, as usually is on our show, the Americans are usually the worst ones. And he was talking to this mom, and she was giving him nothing. He was like, "So, what's your husband do for a living?" She's just like nothing. She really hated him, and so we were like, "Okay, so she was rude. He is a bad person, but she was being really rude." And we were like, "That's rough. If somebody just completely stonewalls you and won't even answer." And both of us
Yikes.
were like, "We do this for a living. We could talk to a wall."
Yes.
And then sometimes you talk to at least for me, like I talk too much and I'm like, "Well, this is embarrassing. Now I'm just talking a lot," you know? And
I always leave the thing being like, you said so much. Like you could have said not any of that, and you did, but
I'm always like, "I talk too much. Nobody wants to hear that." And then you could tell when people are like, "Okay,
yeah,
okay, we're."
yes. So it's not just me. Good.
Yeah,
Good to know.
yeah, yeah, we're done talking now, that was enough. Yeah. So I'm the same way, I could talk to anybody, and I don't want to, but I'm
Like,
like,
yeah.
"This is so awkward. Is anybody gonna say
Yeah,
anything?"
like,
Yeah.
filling out the vibe of the room, like, I want the vibe to be good, so I'm gonna try my best to, like, get the conversation going, so if you're a person that is not a talker, it's not me that needs to come set the vibe of the room because I will try to pull it out of you.
Today I was at CVS and I reached onto the oil of Olay, thing. I was trying to get my lotion, and I touched it, and the whole shelf, like, shocked me.
Ah,
We're in that season now where, like, you get that
mhm.
static and you have
It's
to
so dry.
touch everything with your elbow first, but so you don't get shocked. And, I walk up to my car, like, and I touch it with my hip. I'm, like, scared of shocking myself all the time. And if anybody knows a trick for that, somebody let me know.
Yes, help.
And I touched the oil of the leg and this shelf shocked me. And I go, "Oh my God." Like, so dramatic, right? And that's just how I am in
I
life.
know.
And the
That's
lady was in the same row with me. She looked at me and she was like, "You can't even go to CVS anymore. You're not even safe at CVS." I was like, "I know." And I talked to her for 5 minutes.
yes, that's my whole life, like, that's the whole thing.
Why? Now I'm
I
talking to her
don't know.
about oil of Olay. She was buying under eye patches. I was like, "Do those work?" I mean,
There's
why?
lots to figure out, and if I get interested in it, like, we're gonna discuss it for sure. It's
Mm,
it's not fair for us in where we are is because it's dry now for the first time, like, all year. We get, like, a month of dryness, and so now
mhm.
we've got all the static to deal with. We're used to living in water, so it's a whole new ballgame for just a little bit.
Landon, so but quickly sidebar off of Anatomy of Lies. I was in Mississippi this past weekend, and we went to the OU Ole Miss game. And did you know that we saw Kevin Costner like everywhere we went?
No, wow. How strange.
Strange, right?
Okay.
His son is looking. I don't know if he's going there or not, but he's looking at Ole Miss. And his son with like a second. He's got like three sets of kids, right? He's got like the older kids, and he's
And
got like
then
the middle, and then he's
we're
got the
in the lower set right now,
yeah, the
yes.
lower set. This was in the middle set. This kid, I guess, is a senior or junior, I don't know. Anyway, isn't that exciting? It's like if somebody famous comes to Laurel or somebody, because a lot of people do now because of hometown and stuff.
Yes.
When people come to your town, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a complete celebrity stalker," but I don't care.
Yes, and even there's famous so this is my most embarrassing celebrity story is Parker Posey lives here, like, she grew up here, right
Yeah,
down the road from right here, and I just am obsessed with her, like, I'm
I
so
know her
obsessed with
twin
her.
brother, Chris.
I just love her
Yes,
so
yeah.
much. Everything she's ever done is just so great. I love all of her all the Christopher Guest movies, they're all just so good, and at the gala adult prom that we have as our museum's
Yeah, yeah.
gala every year.
Mhm.
And last year she was leaving, like she was actively leaving, and I know better than to do this, but I like couldn't stop myself.
I
I
get it.
went up to her and I was like, "I love you so much," and she was like, "Thanks." And I was like, "That's the worst celebrity interaction I've had," and she's the one I love the most out of everybody. So fingers crossed for this year's gala. She's back in town after filming White Lotus. I heard that yesterday from the butcher. The butcher told me that
Oh, the butcher. Okay, yeah, I
he
did
saw
hear she
her.
was I did hear she was in White Lotus, so that's gonna be great. She's
Yes, it will be great.
perfect, perfect. Now, have you watched White Lotus?
I have watched White Lotus. I really love it.
You watch both seasons. Okay, so you're
No, I watched
caught
the
up.
first season. I haven't watched the second season. I'm gonna catch up for that. After we finish this run of Vanderpump Rules, it's completely taken over my life, like, the past few weeks.
Landon, the second season is even better than the first season of White Lotus.
Kate watched it and loved it, so I'm gonna have to watch it. I know it's gonna be good.
Oh, it's so good. I can't wait. Y'all, we all dread the whole what should we have for dinner question. I swear on my life, it starts in this house around the time we're eating lunch. People start asking, what are we having for dinner? It drives me crazy. Inevitably, sometimes we order takeout and it's easier sometimes, but my gosh, it's never satisfying. And I'm always like, I feel so gross. Why do we keep ordering takeout? So this is why I'm loving HomeChef. It makes it really easy to cook at home and the food is tons better. You feel better about it. And by the by, it saves you money. I love meal kits. Being able to feast on a delicious meal without the long prep and cook times is what drew me to HomeChef in the first place over the other guys as well. HomeChef meals are effortless, even for somebody like me who is not like the world's greatest cook, but I can follow a card with a recipe like nobody's business. HomeChef provides those fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes conveniently delivered right to your door. When you open your door and you see it there, you pop it in your fridge or freezer, you're like, okay, my week is done. I don't have to have this fight with my family 3 times a week about what is for dinner. They have the classic meal kits, which is what I like. That has the pre-portioned ingredients, the easy instructions. That's what I like. Then they also have some speedy recipes that can be ready in 30 minutes. They have oven-ready kits already, and they have microwave meals. So whatever you're looking for, they have it. I like the classic meal prep because I like to do it myself because I might like to add a little of this, take a little less of that. Sometimes they send me mushrooms. I don't like that. You may like extra mushrooms. You know, whatever is your thing, HomeChef is there for you. They have over 30 options a week that serve a variety of dietary needs. So you don't have to worry about like what to make ahead of time. And this person likes this, and maybe the friend's coming over that's a vegetarian or whatever. Ooh, that sounded pretty specific. Not only is it convenient, but it's economical too. HomeChef customers save an average of $86 a month on groceries. That's an entire trip to the grocery store, guys, or like 2 fill-ups of your car. They have a delicious kid-friendly family menu with 18 new options each week for your kids or your adult kids who only like to eat kid food. For a limited time, HomeChef is offering my listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life and, of course, free shipping on your first box. Go to homechef.com/pinkshade. That's homechef.com/pinkshade for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. You heard me right. homechef.com/pinkshade, but you must be an active subscriber to receive the free dessert. Do it and tell me what you ordered. Okay, let's finish up with Anatomy of Lies. Okay, so obviously the main person in the whole show I was concerned about was Jen, the
Yes.
wife.
And bless her heart in a sincere way.
Bless her heart. So she had the 2 kids we saw. Now there's 5 kids total, but they didn't focus at all on the younger 3, which was good.
I like that.
But how did you feel about their cool house?
Well, I couldn't get past that she drug that whole family into her mess. Like, that was really hard to watch. That girl, she didn't even let the oldest daughter, go to her senior year of high school because of fear of COVID. And I get COVID was wild. That really was wild, but it was just wild that she really put them through it. She really did. She like spilled her own nonsense over onto even children, and that was kind of gross.
The COVID thing was crazy because they were really, really hardcore recommending. And even if you wanted to wait a little bit to see like what else is the CDC going to say, everything, they really recommended if you had anything like cancer, anything like this, you really need to get it because you are super high risk. So she chose not to get vaccinated.
Right.
and instead imprison her family.
And also never had cancer. So that's one of the
I mean, that's
main
just
point. You don't have cancer.
never had cancer, so she's making everybody stay at home with her, but then she was going out and, like, getting her nails done and going on trips.
Really wild. It's really something. It's really something. I try my best to like have sympathy or empathy for people, even the villains of the arc. And like I sort of get where we started with the lie about cancer to get onto Grey's
Yeah,
Anatomy. Like I see where that, but then literally everything after that was just really wild. There's got to be a moment where you are like, pause. What am I doing? Let's reflect. And I never saw her have that moment. I really, really never saw it.
and you never have seen any real, contrition.
And I looked at her Instagram right
Yeah?
after that, and I wonder if it's still there. I bet it's not because when I saw her, she had like 8,000 followers, and then like by the end of the day, she had given up on that. What was her name? It was Elizabeth
Finch.
Finch, yes.
The
And
Elizabeth was with an S.
she had her first post was about, yep, I think she's taken it down. But she had done like a text post that was like a sort of apology, but it wasn't a real apology. It was
Mm,
like, y'all are wrong sort of an apology, and like
mhm.
I've made mistakes, but so has everybody else. I don't know. It was really interesting to see her double down on that. But I guess you would have to at that point, you know?
No, no, no. No, the only way out of it is just full apology, I'm getting the help that I need. I'm in therapy. I hope to come out on the other side. I'm doing intensive work on myself. That's the only way out of
And I
it.
saw none of that. I did not see any of that. And even Jen had to tell on her. Like Jen had to tell everybody because she wasn't gonna tell them. She was not gonna tell them. She was just gonna let it
Mm.
like brush under the rug. But no.
Yeah, and the daughter Maya and the son Van, because they were the older children, they were talking about it a lot. And when you think about the trauma that those kids had already gone through with their father,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't even like that's a lifetime of trauma right there.
I know she took a broken lady and a broken family and broke
Uh-huh.
it even more. It's really
And
something.
broke it even more, and then went in and became a mother to these children. Now, I don't know if did we hear that she had officially adopted the children or no?
I can't remember exactly. I feel like possibly, like,
Possibly
honestly,
she did.
possibly.
Either way, they thought of her as their mom.
Right. They had built the relationship that I felt so sorry for that daughter. She was talking about how much she, like, loved being around her and specific moments, and all of it was based on not the truth. So,
Yeah, it was terrible. Now, what did you think as an artist? What did you think about their colorful home with the colorful fence and the flowers all over the house and everything?
I mean, I would never, but I love that. I love when people express themselves. I really do enjoy personal expression, and I love all the art. There's like an element of chaos, when you go one direction of art. I'm more on the minimal side of things in my
Mhm.
personal space, but I appreciate color, and I appreciate doing what you wanna do, and I like that. I mean, the community did that for her even, like, they did that for her, so it's just so far reaching how far this has gone. They even, like, painted and redid that house for them.
Yeah. But I mean, I think they were doing it for Jen because they knew her for so
Yes.
long and knew what she had gone through with that ex-husband and everything. I mean, it is disgusting when you think about the children and you think about Jen and what she did, and then you think about all those writers that could have
Right.
gotten credit for writing and then boosted their own resume, especially that one girl whose story
Her life
she
story, like,
stole. She
oof.
stole it. She was like, I was a junior writer. And then for the writers that I heard, the various podcasts that have talked about it have all said she did the right thing by not telling on her, because as a junior writer, you're just trying to get your voice heard in the room and you don't want to stir anything up. So she was so beloved that to go and be like, I think she stole my
Right.
life story for this episode. Um, she was like,
She was trapped for sure. She
she
couldn't have
did the
done
right
anything
thing
like
by
that.
saying
Mhm,
nothing. She just kind of kept it in the back of her head, like, huh,
mhm.
okay, well, she's not trustworthy.
Gonna hold that for later, and she sure did get a later with this documentary.
And it was interesting too, as they were going, they were talking, like, to that guy that was the writer, I can't think of his name, the older gentleman that he's probably my age, the older gentleman writer, that they talked to a lot, and they said, like, something about, her kidney transplant. He's like, "What?" Like,
Yes.
"Did she ever tell you that she got a kidney transplant from Anna Paquin?" He was like he's
From
like, "No."
And, like, why from Anna Paquin? Like, that's so random. It's so strange. I don't know.
It's so specific.
So
It's
specific,
yeah.
so strange, so wild.
I guess it's her thought, like, who's gonna ask Anna Paquin if she gave me a kidney? Probably nobody.
I guess. I guess,
It's
yeah.
so weird. It's and then they asked him, like, did sh she told her daughter that she was missing the Emmys, but she won the Emmy, but she wasn't there to get it. Did she ever win an Emmy? And he's like, "What? No,"
He was that's when it all unraveled really was him he was like, "Hold on a second. This is not none of this is right."
It's just insane. Well, I, don't wish good things for her. I hope that she stays away. I hope that she does work on herself and come through, but I really think that and I obviously not a doctor, Landon is a nursing school dropout, so we're not, medical
Not medical
professionals,
professionals.
but I do think that is she's a sociopath.
There's
I mean,
something wrong there, and even when you go as far as to check yourself into a rehab, seemingly for storyline, like, it didn't seem like
mhm,
she was, like, looking for stories, and she found one. She got one while she was there, but
yeah,
that alone is, like, really diabolical because that's so next level, like, you're not only like, you're in the place that would help you, but you're not even being truthful about this place. For what
no,
reason? I don't know. We don't know.
you're lying the whole
She
time
had
you're
the
there.
chance to do it, like, to correct some things, and it didn't happen.
It's insane. It's insane. You guys, I recommend watching it. Probably everybody's heard a lot of podcasts and things about it, but it's still worth a watch. Like I said, I'd heard a ton about it, but watched the 3 parts, with my daughter last night, and it was really, really worth it because you really are getting they do have the clips from Grey's Anatomy and stuff, so they're not sort of talking about it in the abstract. You really are in it, and that Jen, you just are like, "I want everything in the
Ugh,
world good for her," you know?
really do, just, like, really thinking about Jen. She's
And those kids too, because they're double traumatized.
I hope they got a good paycheck from that or something good out of it.
Right, right, because 'cause they're gonna need a lot of therapy.
Definitely.
Um, do you think that Elizabeth Finchy, do you think Finchy is gonna, make a comeback? Do you think, like, in 2 years, we're gonna see her and she's gonna be on Dancing with the Stars or something?
I really don't think so. I think this would be really hard to come back from because it's just so deep, so far. It would be hard to know what is real with her from here forward. It'll be hard to know that she's telling the truth. Now, there's always like another side to things. I'm sure there's like another side, but this was really bad. Like this was really bad. I think we might should just collect our checks and enjoy being at home.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
if I were her, that's what I would be doing. Would just enjoy what we've got so far and
'cause, I mean,
just
I
move
think even
forward.
her parents and her brother are like, "Yeah, you no."
Ugh,
Mhm.
so horrified. It's
Yeah.
horrifying for all the people who were in her periphery, like, everybody in her wake was really, really something.
Yeah. Okay, so next you told me, and I got so excited that you and your wife have been watching Vanderpump Rules from the beginning. You never watched it
Yeah.
before. So you're on season 8 now. So tell me where you are in because I've watched everything at least 6 times.
Okay,
So where
so
are you?
last night we got past COVID, like, past the when they were just on their screens, and they got back together, and Sheena was upset with Lala for not being there for her for during her miscarriage. Do you remember that whole
Yes.
situation?
Mhm. Okay.
That's where we
Mhm.
were last night, and they worked it out. They talked to each other. They, like, miscommunicated, and that was the whole thing. So that's where we are, and it is truly a remarkable show. Like, I can't believe I've missed out on it this far. It just didn't seem like I don't know what I thought. I guess I've worked in restaurants before, and I just didn't I know they're messy, and I worked in restaurants in the 2000s in high school and stuff where, having a cigarette outside was so fun to talk about the drama at the
Yeah.
restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I lived it already, so I didn't feel like I needed to watch it, but this is a whole different thing. They're, like, really something. What got us, though, is Ariana, because we watched Dancing with the Stars and then Love
Okay.
Island. We love Love Island. She hosted Love Island and did so good on Dance. Did
But
she
you
win
didn't
Dancing
underst
with the Stars?
no, she didn't. I think she came in second.
Okay.
But you didn't but would you when you So when you watched Dancing with the Stars and Love Island, you didn't quite grasp who Ariana was to
No.
us Vanderpump people,
Not at all, and
and you're not even really there yet.
I know, I still
Well,
have not fully unpacked Scandival, like, I know
just wait till
sort of
you get to
what's
it.
coming,
Wait till you
but
get to it.
I
Yeah.
know I'm trying to stay blind to that, but it's really wild, like, they're really doing some things in that show. It's really fun. It's fun to so fun to watch.
So where you are right now, Tom and Ariana are fully together. They're
Mhm.
like the power
They're,
couple,
like, doing great.
and so you've also gotten past where, like, they went to Hawaii and Jack stole the sunglasses.
Yes.
Okay.
Which Jack
So
He's a silly goose. That's what I think about him. It's a silly goose.
Well, that's a really speaking of sociopaths, that's nice. The thing about them okay, so, like, Ariana and Tom were always so above everything. They're like,
Yes.
"When we go on vacation, we like to have experiences." So when they're out just laying on the beach getting drunk, we went and saw the waterfalls, or we went to the rainforest, or
That's
we're learning
exactly the vibe.
yeah, we're just learning about the culture where we're at. They were so above it all with everybody, and everybody is always like, "Oh god, those 2 trying to learn shit," and they're always like, "We're gonna buy a house in the valley because, we wanna be homeowners and be responsible. We are living in the shitty apartment. We're saving our." They were always so above
Yes.
everybody, more so Tom than Ariana, but she was in it too.
She
Eh,
backs him up, that's what I'll say for her. Like,
that's the
I
problem.
feel like she wouldn't have been associated with that if she wasn't, like, backing him up so hard on all the time. She always is. She's
Yeah.
standing right there.
She's his hype man for sure. And, also, guys, if you keep hearing the ding ding, of my alarm system, it's because my daughter or my husband or the dogs are all coming in and out, or the workmen, I don't know. So I apologize if you're hearing that. I can't do anything about it. But Ariana, love her, she's great. And so did you ever watch so when you watched the first episode, you got to see the Beverly Hills lead in to how we started Vanderpump Rules, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so because Sheena had an affair with Brandy Glanville's husband at the time.
it's wild, and I looked into that because I was like, "What is going on here?" Wait, okay, because who was she married to before?
It was
Who was
Eddie Cibrian, who's now married to
Yes.
Leanne Rimes. Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's what it was. That's why I looked into it because Leanne Rimes and I are friends on, like, parasocially. We talk a lot, and I love her so much, and I think she's so great, but then I saw the Cibrian, and then I saw that come up, and I was like, "Wait, I've gotta look into this," but Leanne wasn't involved in that, I don't think so. But yeah, wild, Sheena. That's so wild to get involved in all that. That's really something.
Leanne Rimes was involved in all that because she is the one who ended up breaking up Brandy Glanville's marriage. She was.
No, well,
Eddie Cibrian and they're still together. Eddie Cibrian and Leanne Rimes had an affair when they were doing, like, a Lifetime movie of the week together. And he was fully married to Brandy, and then he was seeing Leanne on the side and had telling Leanne that he wasn't,
that's what it
married.
was.
He
That's
wasn't
what it
married, but
was.
he was married to Brandy Glanville, and they had 2 kids.
That's what it was. There was a
Still
couple
do
of
have 2
victims
kids.
there. Yeah, a couple of
Yeah.
victims there. Yeah, no, Leanne's so nice, and I hate that you had to get involved in that, but she's so kind to me. She's been one of the people that's, like, kinda looked out for me throughout this whole thing. She'll, like, tell me, "Hey, watch that person," that kind of a thing. She'll let you
Yeah.
know if that whole thing, so
Yeah, I mean, again, they've been married at least 10 years now, so, I mean, it worked out, it worked
it
out.
worked out.
But, yeah, so that was the whole thing, was that Brandy was a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. Sheena was a waitress for Lisa Vanderpump,
Mhm.
and then Lisa Vanderpump, like, put them together and have an apology, and then when they sat in that restaurant and Sheena walked out of one restaurant into the back of the other, out of the first restaurant, which was
I don't
called
remember. Villa
Not Villa
Rosa?
well, Villa
That's
Rosa,
her
I think it
house.
is her house, so it was Villa
Mhm.
Blanca.
Villa
It was
Blanca.
Villa
Yeah,
Blanca.
that's what it
So
was.
she worked at Villa Blanca, she walked out into the back of SUR, and then she was like, "Hi, I'm gonna clock in." So she clocks in, and we see Stassi, Katie, Kristen. That's the beginning. Now, what you'll find out when you get to the end of Vanderpump Rules this past season, to go into the valley, they do the same thing.
Nice. I love that. I'm glad to have this like review for a second because I kind of sort of didn't understand how the show got started and what happened with. I knew Lisa was on Housewives, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how it went from there. But that makes so much sense. There is some drama there. They were right. They were like, this is a show, and they were correct. It is in
And
fact a
at the
show.
time Lisa created it, it was because, she had a deal with she could make a show on Bravo, and she was like, "I don't have to look any further than my employees." They're
She
all
was
like
right.
and they had to be to work there. They had to be to certain size to fit in those tiny dresses. They had to be hot. They were all aspiring models and actors. And so she was like, and they all sleep with each other. She was like, "It's a show."
She was right.
Yeah.
And that's so funny about the dresses. I mean, I've been watching it recently, but I forgot about it's been so fun to go back style-wise to whenever it started, whatever year it started, because it was like business casual all the
Yeah.
times, like
Yeah.
peplum dresses and business casual, but then the dresses that they wore at SUR were just like the wildest things, like
They were like 2 handkerchiefs tied together. Yes, yes.
I was
It was
like, "This
like
is
butt
such a
crack,
choice."
boob, like, up the front, and you're like, "Are you t serving my food with your
I
coochie
know.
hanging
It's
out?
really something.
Gross.
I was like, I've
Yeah.
thought about those dresses a lot. Like, who made this choice? But okay, it was a different time. It was a different time.
What was your thought? Because I was a huge, and still am. I mean, I was always thought Jax was so good looking and Stassi was so beautiful. And I was always a huge fan of Stassi. And what were your thought like of that Jax, Stassi, Katie, Tom, Kristen, Tom, like all the original couples?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I think Stassi is hilarious. Like, I feel like I know her. She's a
Mhm.
girl from here where I live. Like, there's 1 or 2 of those in every, like, group.
She's
There's
from New Orleans,
there's a
so not
right,
not too
exactly,
not too
and she
far.
even went to high school with some girls that that everybody went to. A lot of New Orleans people go to Southern, to USM, and that's where Kate went and was in a sorority with a lot of girls from New Orleans and FAMU, and so they went to Mount Carmel where she went to high school, so it's like, we know this. I really do know this girl, like, I really do. In
Yeah, yeah,
so many
yeah.
levels, like, I know her, and I just think it's so funny to watch her be herself on TV because it's just she can't do anything but be what she is. She only knows how to say and do what she feels and thinks, and it's really fascinating. Kristen was a mess, a fun mess.
Mhm.
I enjoyed her though recently on. She was on a show. It was like not House.
Villains?
Was it Villains? Was that what it
Yeah.
was? Yes. Yeah, we watched it. I enjoyed her there. She's just, again, a silly goose. Like, they're all silly gooses. I think if you started the show and we're taking them very seriously and like wanting them to be like pillars of morality, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But if you come in it from like like Jax is a silly goose. He's just a little baby. He's just a silly goose
But
baby.
Landon, I understand that that's a term that we use, silly goose, in the South. Like, you're silly goose. And but I mean, you could find out he murdered a couple of people and you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay.
I would
Like,
be like,
he's,
"Yeah."
yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah.
yeah, that does line up." And Brittany, bless her heart, I love her so much. I think she's
Bless her
I
heart.
really do know Brittany. Brittany, I know she's from Kentucky, but that's every girl around here is
Yeah,
Brittany.
yeah, yeah.
And even down to, like, thinking they can fix the man, like, it happens so often.
And look what happened. She
It
didn't.
happens so
She
often.
couldn't.
I know it.
But it's so funny when they were getting married at that Kentucky castle, all, like, the listeners and stuff, like, "We know that castle in Kentucky. It's, like, right by the highway. Every girl sees it when they're going, I'm gonna get married in that castle." And then she did. She
And
was like,
she
"This
did it.
is my dream. It's
Well,
my dream."
she said it was her dream, all the stuff was her dream, and she got to live it. It just maybe I just have seen that exact storyline play out so many times in real life with that guy and that girl.
Yes,
It was
yes.
just like walking into a trap.
So you've got what, 2 more seasons to go? Because
I think
did
so.
we are we on 10? Because I think we just had 10 or 11, or did we have
I
12?
don't know what I know that we, like, were keeping up with, like, episode count, and we were on like, a week or so ago, we were on, like, 220 something,
Yeah.
like, there's so many episodes of the
Yeah,
show,
you're doing it. You're
and
doing it.
we were far more than halfway, so, we should be even closer now. We should be even closer now.
Okay, well, with the minute you're done, I need you to roll directly into the valley,
Ok,
okay? Because
gladly.
Kristen, Jax, Brittany, and then the new people are even better than those 3.
Wild. That's
And
wild
you
to
can
say.
and you can't believe it because you're like, and it took them so long to get that show. They tried for a couple of years. Jax was pitching it for a couple of years, and I was like, why didn't we start watching this 2 years ago? I could have been watching these people for 2
Yeah.
years. Are you kidding me? It's
I'm
really good.
We're gonna go straight into the valley, and I'm gonna detour to Jax and Brittany's wedding, whatever that was called, or they had, like, a little series about it. Did you
Oh, I
watch that
didn't
one?
watch it. It was
I'm
Jackson
gonna
Brittany take Kentucky, and I
Yep.
think it's just a bunch of him yelling at her on a farm.
Oh, yeah, well, I am familiar with the farm setting, so
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. But listen, so when you go to LA, you're gonna have to do all the things,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for
You
so
gotta go
sure.
to last time I was there, I went to Jack's Bar. I went to Shorts and Sandy's. Both of them are just in your mind, it's an hour. It's an hour drive. Everywhere
That's
in LA is an
that's
hour
what I
drive.
feel
Don't
like everybody says.
It's an hour. It's very far away. Tom Tom and stuff is sort of more like right in West Hollywood,
Okay.
but I've heard rumors that they may close Tom Tom.
Well, I
But
just need to
you'll have to go to Sir. You'll have to go to Tom. And make sure if you can go
Mhm.
to Sir, if you're there for a full week, try to go on the night where DJ James Kennedy is DJing.
Is he still DJing it,
I
sir?
think he does it like
I've got
see you
to.
next Tuesdays. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, got to. Oh, that's gonna be high priority. That's, like, very fun. That's gonna be so much fun.
You're gonna have to do the whole you could do it in one night, the whole Vanderpump
I
tour.
feel like we
Yeah.
could. I need TomTom to stay open through December, so stay open through there.
And something about her, I think that now that's their sandwich shop, Ariana and Katie's sandwich shop. Everybody says it's really good, and the excitement has died down. So, because it used to be like a line around the block, but at least you'll have
Okay.
to go and grab a little sandwich
Well, I'll sneak in. I'll just sneak in and say hello
and
to
say,
everybody.
"Hey." And
It's so interesting. The other show we really watch is Southern Charm so much. I love Southern Charm.
yeah,
And I talk to a lot of them, so I have a lot of connections, but I'd have no connections in LA, like, with these people, but they seem just as accessible to as, like I went to Pat Altschul's house, and Lisa gives Pat vibes a lot, like they're
yeah.
similar figures, and I just feel like I could be like, "Lisa, hey, what's up?" But she doesn't know me from Adam, and she certainly is not watching me talk about the South on Instagram.
Probably not. She's a little tougher nut to crack than Miss
Yes.
Pat.
Who I
Te
loved, by the way, and going to her house was just a dream
Well, tell me how
experience.
that came about because I'm a big Southern Charm fan too, but, like, again, it's like you would probably be like, "They're so silly." I'm like, "No,
That is exactly
some of these people are just bad people."
That's exactly how I approach it all. I was like, "Y'all are just silly gooses. I know y'all are all silly gooses." But
Mm,
no, so, a long time ago, I made a reel about caftans, and it was a trap that I was setting for Pat specifically because she wears caftans, and so I made a reel about caftans, and I mentioned that she's, like, iconic caftan wearer, and it worked.
do you spell caftan with a C or a K?
A K usually, but I'm not opposed to however anybody else does it.
I think
I
it's a C.
it's yeah, it was whatever you feel like it is, that's what it is. I recently put a
Okay.
very strong opinion about cornbread out on the internet, and I learned to not state my opinions as
What was
much.
your opi let's before we go to
Well,
caftans, what's your opinion on
I
cornbread?
just, like, very forcefully said that cornbread is not sweet, and it really, upset a lot of the world altogether.
A lot of
Because
people do make cornbread real
they
sweet.
do, and that's what I should have said. I should have said, "My cornbread is not sweet," but I said it very emphatically, like, with a lot of
Mm.
guts, and, so I had to make an apology about that to
Some
the
people like
world.
it real sweet. I
They
like
do,
cornbread no matter what.
they
Just put
do.
some butter on it, I'm happy.
Right, like, I'll eat your cornbread. I just was, like, making a statement. I'm being a silly goose on the internet even,
How do you feel about
And
jalapenos in cornbread?
I'm into it, and jalapeno cornbread, I love it. There's not a cornbread that I turn down really, even down to Jiffy, like, I'll have it.
Oh, well, I mean, Jiffy,
I'm
come
into
on
it.
now. Come on.
I'll do it.
Even
I'm
Jiffy,
not
even
above it.
Jiffy.
Not above it.
Okay, so you laid a trap for Pat
Yes.
with your caftan talk.
Mhm.
I love a caftan as well.
And it
So
worked. It worked
mhm.
very well, and so we became, like, texting friends and, like, DM friends, and I'll share silly videos with her, and we talk on the phone, like, honestly, a lot. I probably talk to her on the phone more than some of my own family members just 'cause it's just gotten into a routine of it. So I think she's so kind and she's so great, and so when I had a show in Charleston, and she, like, welcomed us into her house. It was terrifying. I was, like, really afraid,
Yeah.
um, and it was so strange because we got there, and I assumed it would be, like, layers of security to get there, but she just, like, unlocked the gate, and then I went to the front door, and Whitney opened the door, and I was like, "Hi, am here for your mom. Like, I'm friends with your mom." N and
Yeah.
so it
Uh-huh.
was so fun. So he brought us in there, and she, like, floated down the stairs in a cashmere caftan. It was just so elegant, and then she was just hilarious. She was like, "Whitney's got some girls out by the pool. Do you wanna go look at them?" So we went and, like, stood on what she called the piazza, and she was just so funny. She's like, "Look at that one in the red there." It was just like it was like a
Whitney's got some girl by the way, Whitney is like my age. He's
he
in his mid to late
And
50s.
he was very kind, like, he was very nice. He didn't come across like he does on the show. He comes on the show like a little snootier, but in
Yeah,
in real
yeah.
life, he was really, really kind. It was really, really nice. But so I was, like, so nervous, and I went to the liquor store before that, and I was like, "I I hate to be this guy, but, like, what's the most expensive thing you have?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right,
take
yeah.
that." And
Yeah,
they gave
yeah.
me this high tower gin, like, from Hightower Castle in the UK,
Oh, yeah, okay.
or Highclef, I'm not sure what the name of it was, and
Yeah.
so when we got there, I gave it to her, and she was like, "Oh, have y'all been to Highclef?" And I didn't process what she was saying, and I was just like, "Yeah," so I lied about having gone there, and then after she walked off, I was like, "Wait, I just" anyways, but so I
Yeah,
was,
oh,
like,
that's
super
hilarious.
nervous, but eventually calmed down. We sat on the couch with the wine stain, like, literally on the couch, and I actually saved her life, and she may not think this, but I really did. ADHD has me going, so she was sitting per catty corner to me, like, I'm here on the wine stained couch, and she's in a chair right here, and there was a table, and she had champagne on the table, like a glass of champagne, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the champagne falling towards her, falling
Um,
just out of nowhere, it just, like, started slipping off the books, and time slowed down, and I just, like, took it all in. And I was like, okay, so if I grab that, it's gonna go all over her and look like I just threw champagne on her. So I had to like process that the champagne was falling, that I needed to grab it, and that I needed to fling it the other way. So it just looked like to her that I snatched her champagne and threw it on the wall. But in real life, I saved her life. But she doesn't know
Well,
that.
you saved her caftan for sure.
I did for sure. But it more seemed like I just threw her champagne on the wall, but
I
it
did
was gonna fall
see
on her.
I did see that her former butler, Michael, just
I
passed
know.
away, and that broke my heart because he was
And one of her
so great,
pugs, and the
and one of her
pug that she has the same week. So sad, you know?
I was very sorry about that,
She
and
said something very pat about it, though. She said, something about Queen Elizabeth says that yeah, this is what she said, the last thing. She said, because my grandfather passed away the same day, so we both were talking about that, and she said that offered her condolences. She said, "Queen Elizabeth said grief is the price we pay for love." And isn't that just like what you think she would be saying and doing? And I just loved it so much. But touring her house, it was so fun. It was like I've seen the art on books. I taught art for so long. I studied
yeah.
history, and it was there. It was like the real art, like the real picture of Pocahontas in Queen Elizabeth's outfit. Like it's in her wall. Like really
Yeah.
wild. It was really wild to see all that.
Ah, that's cool. Well, I'm happy for you, and so maybe if I ever get to go to Charleston, you can introduce me.
Yes, we will. We'll have to introduce you, and you'll have to go. It's so nice.
The only person from that cast that I've met that I've had any kind of conversation with, I mean, I've met Austin and I met,
I
one of the
saw when
girls,
you met Austin. I saw that on your social media.
but I did really have a very bad interaction with Shep a couple of years ago at, BravoCon. It was a drunken groping situation, and it wasn't me.
I think you have told me that
Drunken
before.
groping.
I
Yeah.
think you've told me that before. That's so interesting. Yeah, I don't none of the boys follow me, but I talk to Leva a lot, and she's so kind. She actually invited us to a party at Republic while we were there, but it was the day of my show, and it was so hot. It was like in June in Charleston, and so
Mhm.
we didn't go, and I feel so bad about it because that night, Pat went to that show that day. I mean, went to that party that day and then came to my show that night, and I had not gone to the party that they invited me to that very day because I was just like, "It's too hot," you know? But
But
Pat
also that's a lot if you have a show
did
that
take
night,
her
you
there.
know?
Well, yeah, and I used to get really nervous before my shows, but I don't really get that nervous anymore, so and
Tell me about these shows. Okay, so you have gone from, nursing student to art teacher to stand-up to internet, um, guru to now you're doing stand-up comedy.
yes,
Now
all of the
stand-up
above.
comedy, I think, is, like, the hardest. I could never do that. It's
Well,
very hard.
I feel like every Sunday dinner, every occasion is like stand up in the South. It's like
Well, yeah.
it's like putting on entertainment, and so that's what it feels like to me, and I kinda, like, didn't this lady, Heather Land, she's a comedian on the internet, she's a Southern comedian, and she, in, like, February, was like, "You do stand-up, right? Come do a show with me," and so I was like, "Yeah." I'd do
Yes,
that.
I've also been to Hightower in Scotland,
I
same.
just, like, have done all that. So
Oh,
I did
you know what? You're becoming a real,
a
Elizabeth
real
Lynch
Elizabeth Banks,
with
my
your
lord,
lying.
I did well. So after the show, though, I was like, that really was my first show, and I had a really good time. So I loved it. I really loved it. I love connecting with audiences. I've always been a stage person. I've always done theater. I've always been on this stage in some manner. So talking is a different version of that, but it's all the same, and I love it. I just love to entertain people, and I have a real good time. The show. I have a really good time at the show every time so
But
far.
did you have to, like, learn to be a stand-up comedian? I think it's, like, really, really hard with the timing, and you have to have your jokes, and you have to have it, like, this is gonna roll into this, story roll into that. Tell me how you figured out how to do that.
Well, being neurodivergent in Laurel, Mississippi means that I have like observed how people act and what's funny and what people like to talk about and all those things for my whole life, like without even meaning to. That's just like a natural part of living here, especially if you are not like the checkbox very normal person,
Mhm. Yeah.
So I've always just kind of like observed those things. And so on stage, I just regurgitate all that I've learned basically and talk about all the things that I've observed, and I have such a good time doing it. I really do. And but feeling the vibe of like an audience is a skill, and I think it's a skill that you probably have. It's a skill that just living here you kind of either get or you don't. And I that's one thing that I know is like the vibe at the dinner table. What's the vibe here? How do we want to lead this conversation? What's next? And it's the
Yeah.
same thing just on a bigger scale. And I love to see the audience reacting to the stuff um people like to talk about the stuff that we do that's ridiculous, and it's so fun to like explain pear salad to an audience of people that has never heard of pear salad.
I saw that you posted your little bit about pear salad, and guys, pear salad is a thing. And when you were explaining it, I was like, "Oh, is he just talking about that?" In my mind, when I heard you say, "I'm gonna talk about pear salad," I go, "Is he just talking about the half a pear with the
Yes.
mayonnaise and the cheddar cheese?" And I was like, so then I heard you describe it, and I was like, "That does sound completely
It
gross."
does, doesn't it? I know, and until I, like, took myself out of, like, pear salad being a normal thing, I didn't think anything of it. Pear salad just is. It just is there. It's not like we want it even. It just is there and would be,
Mhm.
like, strange for it not to be there, but yes, people do wanna talk about pear salad. I love to tell stories, so it's just storytelling on a bigger scale, and it's very fun.
Yes, pear salad is half a pear from a can with mayonnaise on top and sprinkled cheddar cheese
And a maraschino cherry if you're being
sometimes.
fancy. It's a
And then
fancy.
you just cut into it with a fork and you get a little bit
Mhm,
of all of it.
mhm.
And why it's really gross. Like, why
It
did my
is.
parents give me that?
It's, like, objectively not good, but it just is, and you do eat it. I don't know why, like, when you're little, you, like, scoop the mayonnaise off, but it leaves, like, a little film, I don't
Mhm,
know, and you just grow up into where you do eat the pear salad. It's like a between the meal and the dessert sort of a situation usually. I don't know,
mhm,
but
mhm.
it's the truth, and you can change that pear out for a pineapple, and I've even heard people saying they put cottage cheese instead of mayonnaise, which feels a little bit like cheating, but go
I've
for it.
heard I've seen the cottage cheese too, and I never probably is one of the reasons I never liked cottage cheese ever as a kid because I was like, "What is this?" It's on a disgusting, slimy
It does not
pear
look
from a
good.
can. But now as an adult, I like cottage cheese, but
Mhm.
a lot of things growing up, I just wouldn't eat on principle, like, "That looks
Yes.
gross, I'm not gonna" like, pimento cheese, I would never eat that, and
Yes.
now I make a killer pimento cheese.
Yes, and it's so good, it just is. Pimento cheese just is, and so is pear salad, they're just things that are.
Yeah, you're right. There's other things I was thinking recently about that my mom would make for me growing up, and I was like, I would cough in my hand and then spit whatever food I had in my napkin,
Yeah,
and
you
then
get good at
go,
that.
go throw it in the trash can and come back to the table. I need a new napkin.
Spreading
You
it
know,
around on the plate, making it look
Do
like
yes,
when you put
yes,
the plate in the trash, put it upside down so nobody can see, that
yeah. And
mhm.
salmon croquette
Skills.
was another one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
ooh,
It's
why is
skills
that
that we
good?
learn. Skills.
I can still taste that salmon croquette.
Mm.
That's gross. Well, where are your comedy shows coming up?
I got one in Charleston actually this week, the 2nd,
Oh, Charleston, are you gonna see Pat again?
going back to Charleston. Well, I have to call her actually this afternoon and see what's up. I know she's going through a lot right now with Michael, so I don't want to bother her with that. But if she is available, certainly. But yeah, so Charleston this week, I'm hosting their literary festival's Black and White Masked Ball based on Truman Capote's Black and White Masked Ball. And that's going to
Yeah.
be so fun on the 1st, and then Charleston on the 2nd at the Queen Street downtown. And then we've got a bunch of shows coming up. Let me pull it up because I never know what I'm doing
This is
until
November 1st and
this
2nd?
is November 1st and 2nd, and then the
Okay.
14th of November, going to San Jose, California. Then
Ooh,
coming back, a show in New Orleans on the 24th, and
okay.
then heading to Ontario the 4th of December and Irvine the 5th of December. So got a busy little next few weeks. And Marietta, Georgia on the 20th of November. So
Are you
kind of
ever coming this way in the Virginia, DC area?
working on that right now. Dukes is my one of my big pals
Speaking
and
speaking of
partnership.
mayonnaise, yes.
Yes, and they're in Richmond, based out of Richmond,
Oh,
Virginia,
okay.
and so we're gonna try to get over there that way and get a few there. There's a bunch lined up for the spring, we just haven't, like, released them yet for tickets, so there's coming up.
Okay, well, I'm only an hour from Richmond, but if you get over to, like, Alexandria in the DC area, let me know, but I also could come to Richmond, so it's not far.
Well, it sounds like we'll just have to come to Alexandria in the DC area. I actually get a lot of requests from there. I get a lot of requests from Charlotte and lots of Texas, so gonna try to work all those out very soon.
And then tell me, last time I talked to you, which was, probably 6 months ago or so, you said you were talking about your book. Now,
Yes.
what is the book called?
The book is Bless Your Heart, A Field Guide to All Things Southern, and it is
Mhm.
very fun. And now that I'm actually done with the book, it's been so interesting getting the manuscript in and like working back and forth with the editors who are not Southern. It went from like a silly little thing to like it literally is a field guide. Like if you're Southern, you're gonna think it's hilarious because it's talking about us. If you're not from the South, if you need to know anything about why we do what the things that we do, explaining everything, it's there. It ended up having to have like footnotes and cross references because they didn't know what I was talking about. The editors never knew what I was talking about. So like the first pass was just like all red everywhere, just like
'Cause they
everything
were
was
like and there are the editors, like, in New York, and they're like, "What is this guy talking
New
about?"
York,
Yeah.
South Korea, like all over the place. So I really had to explain it. So if you've never even heard of the South, you could read this book and have a good understanding of it. It's like a really good resource, actually. It's turned into a really good resource, but it's really funny as well. And so I really enjoyed it. And that comes out on April Fool's Day of next year, April
Oh,
1st.
okay.
But you can pre-order it now wherever books are sold. And I'm currently got like 4,500 pages in my living room that I'm signing copies of to get them out to Barnes and Noble and Books a Million and places like that. So it'll be exciting.
And also to me, you're gonna send one to
Oh
me.
yeah, for sure. You're on the press package list. You'll get like the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, Landon, I love a press package. I never
I
get
do
one.
too.
That's so exciting. I get them from TLC for 90-day stuff, and when it
Nice.
arrives, it's like they've sent me like a beach bag or something. I'm like, "Oh my god," like I need another beach bag, but I get just so excited
Another
about
tote. Yes.
a promo
Yes,
item.
for sure.
I love a merch. I love a
I do
promo
too.
item. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we've got your comedy tour, we've got your book, and when is this competitive with me podcast starting?
Well, we actually are filming, recording, whatever you want to call it, the first episode 0 tomorrow. We did the trailer and I sounded like a frog because I was sick. So we're gonna redo the trailer and do episode 0 all tomorrow. And then they
Okay.
do a little behind the scenes thing, but I'm trying to get it out in November. Like November is when we're trying to finally get it going. We want to get a few episodes recorded before we release it. But yeah, it's gonna be so exciting. It's gonna be so much fun.
And what's the podcast called?
The podcast is Landon Talks with Kate.
Landon Talks with Kate. And it is so if you've already got the trailer out, then people can find it.
And the trailer, sounded like a frog, so we're redoing the trailer tomorrow. So the trailer should come out within the next, like, 2 weeks at
Okay.
the
And then
latest.
so you guys, when it does come out, I'll remind you because you want people when they find it,
Yes.
even if it's just the trailer, to follow it.
Yes, please. Please
Yeah.
do. It's
And
gonna
do
be a
you know
good
what
time, and if you subscribe to me on Instagram are a member on YouTube, those, like, special subscriptions and
yeah.
memberships,
Uh-huh.
those we're gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about that week each week, and you'll get to submit questions and things like that. So if you wanna be a part of the behind the scenes, do that with us as well. It's gonna be a good time.
So it's Landon Talks everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere.
It's everywhere. Landon talks a lot on YouTube. I felt very clever about that because they're gonna be longer videos, and that's being redone right now, actually, with to go along with the podcast. We got a YouTube space, and I filmed the first YouTube episode that's long form last week. So it got a lot coming out very soon.
Oh my gosh, Landon, you're gonna be all talked out.
And no, I've never
Never.
been at a loss for words.
Never. I tell you, Andy Cohen did the best name of his book, which was Most Talkative.
Yeah,
Um,
that is really good. That is
that's
really
a
good.
really good name because, it's like I saw something the other day and it was like, this is for all the kids in elementary school who got talks too much on
Yes.
their, that's always talks too much. Talks too Mary Payne's great. She talks too much. She talks too
Yes.
much.
And
Talks too
now it's
much.
it's our super skill. That's what it was.
Now it's the super skill. I guess my daughter had it too. My daughter has pretty hardcore ADHD, and hers was always like talks too much because she was always like, not only was she talking too much, like while the teacher was talking, she was also trying to make sure the people behind her were doing what they were supposed to. So she would always be like, "Oh, the teacher said this." She'd be like, "Did you hear? You're supposed to get out your pencil and your math notebook." And they're like, "We heard it, girl. We don't." And by the way, she wouldn't have out her pencil or her math notebook. She would just be
That
wanting to make sure everybody was doing the right thing. Yeah.
That's me.
Mm.
That's me. That's exactly me my whole life.
Yeah, just make sure everybody else is doing the right thing. Now, I might not be doing it,
Mhm.
but I need to make sure. But the best picture of my daughter is at her 2-year-old birthday party. It may be her 3-year-old birthday party. It may be her 3-year-old birthday party. And we're at one of those little My Gym places, and so all the kids are sitting in a circle doing the thing with the teacher, like up and down and all this stuff. And it's all the kids in a circle looking at the teacher, and Anna is facing the camera. Her back is to the circle, and she's doing it, but she's facing me. And I
Yes.
was like, this describes her
This
completely.
is my daughter for sure. That's
Yes.
so interesting.
She's in the circle,
Mhm.
but she's not gonna look at it. It didn't even matter if it's her own birthday party.
I
Nope.
know what that feels like
Yeah.
for sure.
I had ADHD in middle school, high school, and then through college, but I really grew out of a lot of the concentration part
Mhm.
around age 22, which they say happens. I still have a lot of trouble with like starting a task and then going off and doing four
Yes,
other things and
Lord, yes.
forgetting that I started putting the laundry away, but then like I
Mhm.
went off and did six. And crap! At the end of the day, you're like the laundry's still sitting there because I got on to four other things.
It
So
just was boring. That was why. I was
yeah,
gonna do laundry, but then I got very bored.
I won't get bored. I'll just think of 6 other things. I'm like, "Oh, I should go do that while I'm thinking about it," but then I forgot. So I do still have that part, but the concentration thing, I've
Yes.
grown out of.
I can hyper focus on stuff if I'm interested in it, but if I'm not interested in it, probably can't make it happen, but I'll try.
My daughter's hyper focus thing is Legos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yes, for
So
she's
fun.
21. We have a house full of the most
Nice.
amazing Lego projects you've ever
So
seen. I'm
do
like,
I. All the
"Whoa."
plants, all the Lego plants and flowers, they're so fun.
Yeah, we're about to put them all in our down here in the basement. We're gonna make
Nice.
this will be your display area. Can they get out of our formal dining room? That'd be great. That'd be great.
The formal dining room Legos, yes.
It's become the formal Lego room.
Nice.
Everybody, you know where to find Landon, but Landon, it is Landon Talks, except for it's Landon Talks a lot on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everywhere else, Landon Talks, everywhere else you can find me.
but you just look up Landon Talks and you'll find it.
I'll be there.
And what are you telling us about this week on Landon Talks? What Southern phrase are you explaining to us this week?
Well, I just never know. I'm about to film what I'm gonna do right now, and so what I do is I have a long list on my phone of things that I've heard people say. Like, I don't even have to go far for the content. It even comes in my house. Sometimes my grandma will come in my house and say something, and
Yeah.
so I will, in a minute when I'm done with you, I will go through this long
That
list
list.
and just see what speaks to me, and we'll talk about that, and I'll get a few of those done for the weekend. Then
All right,
we'll
give me what's on your list. Give me a couple. Just tell
Okay,
me what they
so,
are.
the first thing that shows up is the word ornery. Then we have bacon grease, love bugs, the phrase, "We're not gossiping, we're just discussing," and
Mhm.
the phrase, "It's not my business to tell,"
Mhm.
which I love.
All
I love that. Something good is coming after, "It's not my business to tell." That's a really good one,
yeah,
you know,
it's
you
not
just
my business, but what I
Mhm,
heard was. Yeah.
mhm. I
All of
have
these are good. The
Oh, yeah,
bacon
they're so
grease one
fun.
just came up in my house recently.
I
The
know.
bacon grease is so gross.
What do you keep it or no?
Well, see, all my life I haven't kept it. I've waited for it to get like hard in the pan and I wipe it out and throw it away. And a thing I saw on the internet that I've learned now is even while it's still hot, you get a little piece of tinfoil, put it in a coffee cup,
Mhm.
line the coffee cup, and then you pour it in there. And then it gets hard, then you throw the whole thing away. But um my husband likes to pour it into a jar and it's in the fridge. So over the summer, we were doing some fried okra. We don't get okra up here very often. When we do go, we go crazy. We get so excited we can do fried okra.
So good.
And he got out that old bacon grease, and I didn't know that he did that, Landon. And I came in, I was like, ooh, because usually we fry a little bacon to crumple up in the okra, and that's what we use. He goes, I didn't use any olive oil, I didn't use any Wesson oil, I only used bacon grease, and look how good. I was like, from the ooh, but oh god, it was so good.
So funny. Well, it's like there's levels of bacon grease because his is in the fridge, which is appropriate, but also some people just keep it on the counter, like, right there. It depends on how much you use it, how often you use it, that it should stay out. It shouldn't
Mine
stay out, really.
my friend puts it in an old coffee container under
Mhm.
the sink.
It's always the old coffee container, and I wonder
Yeah,
why, but that's what it is.
I think it's because
That's
you can pour it
the
in
truth.
hot because
That's
it's
the truth.
metal.
Oh, yeah, that is why. Okay, well, look at us. We solved bacon grease right here.
Oh, bacon grease. Okay, everybody make sure to follow Landon, and if you're listening and you don't follow me, please follow me. It's
Yes, for
at
sure.
Pink Shade Pod on Instagram, at Pink Shade Podcast on TikTok. It's Pink Shade Podcast on YouTube, but just look up Pink Shade Podcast. You'll find me. And if you look up Landon Talks, you'll find Landon. All right. Thanks, Landon.
Thank you.